Welcome to April's Squadron 42 update. The GFX team have made a variety of visual improvements to the glass shader, making it an altogether more versatile tool, suitable to as many assets as possible. A simple unlit mode has been added, allowing the glass to be used on visors and ship canopy interiors without distracting reflections and glare. The refraction effect has been improved with the enabling of glare and blurred refractions, allowing us to achieve effects like sandblasted or frosted glass, condensation, grease and fingerprints. Combining the refraction capabilities with the unlit mode is making it possible for us to create some convincing dynamic visual effects. We can now fog out the edges of the visor, for example, if you're out of breath. We can ramp up the glare if you're looking at the sun in a dirty or damaged helmet. We also improved the crack effect and synced it with the health entity so we can realistically smash UI screens. The VFX team have been working on the screen interference system that will feature heavily in many areas around the coil in S42. Although still in early R&D, we are adding more drama and situational reaction to the cockpit experience with these effects that add interference to onboard computers and readouts. Lots of things in space can mess with your instruments, and the static storms pulsing through the coil aren't doing pilots any favours. As you can see, this adds an element of environmental storytelling to the rather limited view of the cockpit interior. And even simple effects like these add narrative tension as well as added challenge from a gameplay perspective. Staying with VFX, the Contrails system has had additional focus this month. Details like the unique contrails seen when flying through the coil add more layers of detail and immersion to the environment. As we saw a few months back on ATV, the coil is almost a character itself. It's a really singular environment, and it takes a bunch of seemingly small components working together, visuals, audio, special effects and game mechanics, to create what's coming together as a really compelling experience. It's important, while implementing all these design elements, that the area retains its disorientating, intimidating personality and represents a challenge for the player, but remains fun and intuitive in terms of gameplay. As we saw on a different episode of ATV, the crew of the Idris frigate more than doubled in size from what was originally planned. We've had to make some design tweaks to accommodate the extra hands on deck, with a glaring need for additional officers' quarters. We've now added pilots' quarters linked to the main crew quarters on the Idris. As you can see, these digs are a considerable upgrade from the double bunks in the main room that we saw back in the vertical slice. They really help to make the Idris interiors feel like real, lived-in spaces. The gargantuan Shubin Engineering Facility is a great example of the really impressive levels and physical spaces in the game. You can see how the scale of it and the atmosphere, from lighting to layout, further carries the visual storytelling so important to the medium. A lot of Squadron 42's narrative is affected by and centred around the Shubin Mining Company, and as we were developing the story and looking at the level design, what started out as a relatively simple mining platform eventually morphed into the massive facility you see here. It even necessitated the inclusion of a monorail system as seen in last month's update, to make getting around faster and more convenient. Another key location seen in the December livestream was the old Chemline Facility, long out of commission. We're working on a new control room prop set for it, and these assets represent the brains behind the operation, so to speak. In their day, long before the events of Squadron take place, these systems were top of the line, with hardware and software working in perfect harmony to keep the operation running smoothly, efficiently, and most of all, safely. Time, as it does though, has moved on, and these once high-end systems are left dormant, gathering dust and slowly decaying. Safety might not be a word best associated with them now. We've been testing a prototype to allow players to manually inspect the FPS weapons that they are currently carrying. When in this new inspect state, the item is displayed centrally and can be rotated, allowing the player to view each side and any attachment ports. The focus has been on pistols, stocked and shouldered weapons, as each type of gun has very different requirements when it comes to animation poses and the fluid transitions between them, as you can see in these examples of each style being tested. Building off the progress we saw in last month's update, work on the turrets for the massive Vandal hunter ship continues. The organic design, seen in all the Vandal weapons and ships, manages to be intimidating and beautifully fluid all at the same time. Equal parts deadly viper and blooming flower. The Vandal have a very distinct look and feel that we're trying to make consistent with everything from their large-scale tech, like ships, to their turrets, and even their hand-to-hand weapons, armour and physical design. Everything about the Vandal is intense and visceral, and when players tangle with them in the game, it should feel markedly different than engaging with humans or other alien aggressors. That's all for this month's update. Thanks again for all the fantastic support, and we'll see you again soon with another S42 update.